UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Good evening and welcome to Behind the Headlines. My name is Timothy Nyangweso. Today we look at the aftermath of the elections of the National Delegates Conference of the National Resistance Movement, especially the verdict and the outcomes that seem to be swaying it in one direction or the other. The tribunal is back in full swing, especially with 12 petitions put before it. We also look at some of the verdicts that have come out that are questionable, but also that have changed the trajectory of flag bearers in some of the areas. We'll also look at the National Unity Platform, especially questions around bribery and how its vetting process happened there. We go further to ask ourselves, the democracy of this country, is it building or breaking? What lessons can be drawn from it, especially with the panel we have tonight? So let me get to the panel that is with us tonight. On my immediate left, Professor Sarah Sali, the director at the Institute of Gender and Social Development at Makerere University, is with us this evening. Good evening, Professor, and it's good to have you.
Good evening, Timothy, and good evening, our viewers. I'm happy to be here.
Next to the professor, as he claimed when he came in, most loved, most hated, but he's the man at the center stage of what the electoral process has been at the National Resistance Movement. Dr. Tanga Odoi, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission at the National Resistance Movement, is with us this evening. Good evening, Doctor, and it's good to have you.
Good evening, team, and good evening, fellow panelists and members of the public.
Next to him, grandfather of the nation, Mr. Andrew Nganda, CEO of the Independent Magazine, is with us this evening. Good evening, Andrew, and it's good to have you.
Always my pleasure to be with you, my grandson.
I see
my grandchildren.
Is back.
Yes. Age.
Next to Andrew is Honorable Ibrahim Nganda Ssemuju, representing the people of Kira Municipality, but also the Chief of Staff, but also the brand manager of the People's Front for Freedom, is with us this evening. Good evening, sir.
Got everything right. Nganda needs to go in the basement of Moza and they shave this beard of his. They shave the mutwe. But the one of Nganda looks really menacing. They need to remove it.
So you know why they shaved the one of Edmund.
Gentlemen, it's too early to start. Lastly but not least, our Cabinet Minister in charge of ICT and National Guidance, the Honorable Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, also representing the people of Kinkizi East, is with us this evening. Good evening, Honorable, and it's good to have you.
Good evening. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Last time we spoke was about 11 p.m. last week.
Yes.
And you told me, Timothy, I cannot come. It was hot on the ground. We'll get to that one in a bit.
Okay.
You can be part of the show. Go to our YouTube channel, drop your comment there. Let us know what you think. We're streaming live on our space on X. Hashtag UBC Behind the Headlines. Let us know what you think. The number for text or WhatsApp, 0709 60 92 25. Let us know what you think on that number. We'll be reading your messages at the top of the hour. It's only befitting that I come to you, both Honorable Minister and Dr. Tanga, so that we can be able to start exactly how the week ended and began. Dr. Chris, you made a comment, and I want to quote you verbatively. You said, whatever the results, whether I win or not, I will not associate myself to these results. They are illegitimate. What did you mean by this?
There was no election.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're just
the last time I was here,
you're quoting half of he said people are voting from darkness. No, I am volunteering information. He said
okay.
Tanga Odoi was conducting elections from dark corners. He says that's where Rwenzori voted from.
Okay.
I don't know how Tanga Odoi did the counting, but all that
should I cede my time to Ssemuju, who was voting for Corona?
I am sorry.
What did you mean by this?
So,
thank you very much, Timothy. The last time I was here, I was a SEC member. Now I am not. We had a successful conference, the delegates conference of NRM, which attracts over 20,000 delegates from
Medical doctors, they
across
can
the
even have a
country.
successful operation when the person is dead.
And in terms of
Sorry, I was reminding Chris, he's a medical doctor. The medical doctors can say we had a successful operation, but the patient died.
Honorable Ssemuju, let me minister.
why are you anxious? It's
No,
this evening.
I don't want to forget.
No. I'm saying we had a successful conference.
Yes.
Successful in terms of the delegates traveling from all over the country, coming and assembling in Kororo. They are accredited, they are given uniform, they appear smart. The chairman of the party speaks well, gives the vision of the party. His speech will be part of the manifesto which we are going to produce as NRM. To that extent, I'm saying things went well. Probably where I had issues myself was the organization of the elections. And I think the comment you are attributing to me was made in line with the elections. You see, in NRM, when we went multi-party in the 2005-06, we began by using electoral colleges to vote flag bearers for various positions. Yeah, meaning flag bearers, but also we're having structured elections the way we are having them now. Then in 2010, we had a discussion and there was a complaint that I think specific complaint was from Eastern Uganda, I think Butareja, around that one of the candidates took away delegates for like 2 weeks and the other candidates could not access them. And many other examples of bribery using money. And because of that, we were persuaded to change from electoral college to adult suffrage. And therefore, the primaries of 2010 and 2015 were by adult suffrage, secret ballot. Then in the run-up to the 2020 primaries, we had discussions, and there were concerns that some people may probably have access to ballot papers, whether true or not, but there was that concern. Plus also issues of cost, the cost of the primary elections. Then the delegates conference made a decision to change, to say let's have adult suffrage. Adult suffrage means every registered member participates in voting, but this time round by lining up. And so in 2020, and then this year, we had primaries by lining up, but at the village level. Now, to me, the difference with this one now is that we had, in 2020, we never had a conference because of COVID. By this time around, we had a delegates conference here in Kororo, which attracts huge numbers. So Dr. Tanga Odoi, as our chair of the Electoral Commission, now organized elections, again by lining up. And I don't want to blame him, but I think also the Electoral Commission got overwhelmed because we had not had that experience where you organize elections by lining up and you have huge numbers in one place. I was a candidate because I have been the vice chairperson for NRM for Western Uganda, and I was seeking re-election for a second term. Now, why I made that comment, it was toward the end when I think Kayunga and Mukono were voting, so I chose to go there and stand in front of the line which was to vote me as a candidate. And my opponent also stood next. And then his line was like 4 times longer than mine. Then my supporters kept shouting, said, "Honorable Doctor, those are not delegates." Many of those people you are seeing lining behind the other opponent, they are not delegates because we know each other. So they asked me, "What do we do?" I said, "You break the line and join them and break the lines." Then the president, it was towards 4 a.m. there, then the president noticed there was some commotion. And that's when he came on the podium and said, "What is going on?" And then I tried to explain that, "Your Excellency, I think no election is taking place here because access control collapsed. I had information the candidates had brought people from town, and many of these people voting are not even delegates. So it has just been chaos. And then he ordered the registrar to use the register now and conduct the election. And the registrar said, no, I know all the delegates of Mukono, let them line up. Let the agent of Dr. Balimus come here, the agent of Akiki, the other candidate, and then your supporters line up. So when he started counting, and Dr. Tanga Odoi was there, they removed many non-delegates who were in the line of Akiki. I didn't count how many, but they were, because he kept saying, you, which committee do you belong to? Someone says, I am Nabachara at the village. They say, Nabachara for where? There's even someone who said, I am from Murakai, yet it was Mukono voting. So many people were removed. So at the end of the day, in that line, Akiki, my opponent, got 40 votes, and I got 59. Yet when I was standing there, his line was 4 times longer than mine. And that is what had happened all over. So, why I told the president that it is very unfortunate that we failed to organize credible elections is that I had witnessed what was going on. Can you imagine, like Bunyoro, they just gathered and said, block vote, and they filled the DR form and they gave my opponent 700-something votes. They gave me 0-0. Very strange. So
in NRM cannot organize an internal party election for the party. Yes. How are you going to organize a national election for the country? From what you
the national election is done by the Independent Electoral Commission. So let me first finish. So, because you asked me why I made that statement,
yes,
that I will not accept the results, whether they are in my favor or not, is that as a candidate, I had witnessed what had gone on. In some districts, they voted as a district. In others, there was a region like Chigezi. Say Chigezi, where you have 6 districts, they all gather there in a mass. Bunyoro, all the districts. Then others, they were. So I think Dr. Tanga Odoi was ill-prepared, and probably he didn't foresee what it would mean having an election by lining up in a squeezed press, in my view. Although Kororo is big, but when they elected the tents, they were squeezed because people would vote in one tent. Afterward, they just shift to another tent. You find Bunyoro is joining Ankole, and they merge. And when we are counting Ankole, Bunyoro is also there. So it was messed up, and that's why I said, irrespective of the outcome, by the time I spoke, they hadn't started. I said, whether it is my favor or not, I will not accept the result because it was not a genuine election. I've been participating in elections for many years. That was not an election, in my view.
So
and that's why.
With hindsight of that comment, are you petitioning?
No, I am not. Why? Because what would be the prayers? The prayers would be that maybe they repeated. Repeating it would mean calling a delegates conference again, which is very costly. So I didn't petition. I am not a pathologist who dwells on postmortem. I am a public health scientist who uses postmortem results to better the future.
You need to immunize the tongue.
To be preventive, to design a preventive program. So my concern is that this happened, and it is now behind me, but we need to draw lessons from it and then see how to improve in the future. For instance, if I was Dr. Tanga Odoi then, I would have stopped elections because I moved with him, and he actually did his best, but I think he was also overwhelmed. We moved with him across the tents, but the whole organization arrangement had collapsed. Probably he should have stopped the election and maybe started afresh in the morning when it is daytime. He was having an election at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., like Ssemuju was saying. I went to Gwenzori where they were voting from outside, and it was semi-dark. You could not recognize the NFS. And while they were there, a huge team of like 100 people came and just stormed the lines and joined the lines. You could not tell whether this is from Gwenzori or is from somewhere. So it was quite messed up.
Okay.
But I think in hindsight, as a piece of advice, I think this election should have been done at the district level the way we did it during COVID, so that the numbers are manageable and the people are able to take rational decisions if people are gathered in the Kabale, they can reflect and say, whom do we vote as a vice chairperson? Whom do we vote as this position? By the way, it was in Kororo. Money was flowing all over, people being paid. As I reached somewhere at the polling station, and somebody told me, you raised 5 million shillings, and all those people who are seated will vote for you. I said, I'm sorry. Yes, I have the 5 million shillings, but I'm not going to raise it. So the environment was not very conducive for an orderly election to take place.
If what you're giving us was 25,000 people, and as Andrew had asked, what will happen to a national election? I'll come back to you on that one. Let me come to Dr.
No,
Tang.
why don't you ask me to answer it?
No. Let's first finish the NRM.
In the forthcoming elections,
We're going to
you are
come
not
to
going
that
to
one.
gather 25,000 in one place. We
No,
have
we're going
polling
to come to
stations
that
which
one,
are...
because we're going to have almost 22 million people voting.
No,
So
but not in one place.
let's come to Dr. Tang. Doctor, how would you rate your process, especially all the way from Wednesday last week to almost the end of the week? Your electoral process.
I think, thank you very much. First of all, is that this was the tail end election.
Yes.
We had super elections from the village, 72,000 villages. And no one wants to talk about that when the blame game shifts without apportioning responsibility fairly. We had election from the village, 72,000 villages. They voted their 30 leaders very well. Actually, the whole process started with a register being taken to the village on 6th May for people to actually check whether their names are in the register. Every village was so wonderful. It was done so wonderfully in every village that you go, you check for your name, you find the details are not enough, you actually add details and make sure you have all your details captured. Thereafter, I called for the first election, which is the structure of the party. To me, that is the basic election where people do things the right way. And that election had no problem. We moved to the parish, the sub-county. Then once we reach the district, now the money flow comes in. The influence factor comes in. The big people now start showing that we are now here. And the mess starts. The advantage I have as a chair of the commission is that this commission is answerable to SEC. And for whatever we do, we must present to SEC. I presented regulations to SEC. I presented our thinking as Electoral Commission to SEC. And I'll come to that in other depth. One of the things as Electoral Commission we suggested is that let's decentralize the election. Good enough, Honorable Chris is a member of SEC. Because we had the experience of COVID, where we voted him. This was his first term in SEC. The experience of COVID, we didn't assemble in Kololo, we actually had virtual election and we had smooth election. Our thinking was, why don't we decentralize this election to the 18 sub-regions? We have Teso, we have Bukedi with 7 districts, come together, vote, and we collect the results and announce at Kololo. Why was I intending that? You do not need to bring everybody to Kololo. Bring the cream de la cream, who will now vote the SEC or the other leaders at Kololo. I even wanted that for the youth election. That let's decentralize this election. Not to bring these people together in a place like Kololo, which, according to me, in all meetings, was not right for that election.
So what failed your suggestions?
SEC is overall to us. What we present to SEC would even be shot down before you mention the second sentence. And I'm free to talk. I'm free to say this because it's there.
No, at the time, some of us were that view of decentralizing, but we never had that discussion.
Let me tell you, read all the documents I gave you. You know what belittles me is that you actually burn the midnight candle to try to bring things to SEC, the SEC which is outgoing or outgone. But they will go into just 2 things and then shoot everything down. You remember when we had SEC meeting in the plot 10? I brought the yardstick parameters that not everybody should become a SEC member. I said, what about if we put these standards?
Like which standards?
I said, well, let's track record of a person. At least let's look at the track record of a person.
You almost sound like you're saying vetting the person.
When you are
Yes.
going to monitor whether there are no
Yes, because
standards.
this sec should vet the
This is when
candidates.
they end up with the
But what would they use for vetting the candidates if Electoral Commission does not give them a temporary whatever for them to adopt?
What was the
guideline.
criteria you felt a person should meet to qualify to sit?
One
on
of these is contribution to the party. We are not on what the Right Honourable Kadaga said, that you must have been 10 years. No, what have you done for the party?
How would you measure that?
But the presentation of the candidate enables you to measure to an extent.
No. Some of the measurements that were being said is bringing 10 members from the opposition. Is that a measurement?
What is wrong with that? Being a contribution.
Is it, how tangible is that? To
What
the
is
development of
wrong
the party?
with her saying, the short time I've been here, I have done the following. And one of it is to convert some people into the party.
So that's a sustainable measure as a yardstick.
That is one thing you can measure, use to say this person is active.
So what guideline would you give?
The
for
guidelines
that?
I wanted to give is not what I'm going to give you here, because it was shut down by SEC. We had even gone deep. I think SEC was partly right. I said, what about if you find someone's financial? What about if you get, you remember, what about if you get someone's record from Interpol? What about, I gave them a set of measures. Not that those were rigid measures, but for them to actually sieve out, so that somehow we can have something to benchmark on and then say, let us evaluate people along this.
So who would be in charge of evaluating the people?
The committee of SEC.
Oh, okay.
Because any vetting is by SEC. The SEC who have candidates had again the right to vet the candidates. Because most of the SEC members were candidates. But they were, by the constitution, they are the ones supposed to vet.
So
But
Dr.
vetting
Tanga
wasn't the
Odoi,
biggest
so
problem
you
in this
agree
case.
with Chris's criticism that the election was poorly managed?
No. You know, the management of
Because
election
your
is
argument
something.
was that it was, you had asked it to be decentralized, it wasn't, and the mess he's talking about, therefore, is a consequence of them turning down.
Mine is a trajectory. That's how I present myself, unfortunately. Mine is a trajectory. At the end, you apportion, all of you must blame yourself for a failure. I'm not that type of person who will say, Chris failed me, the Electoral Commission failed. It is a long process before election. When they agreed to the measures I put, that before you express interest, you must do the following. You must do the following. Did you see comedians coming for forms in Plot 10?
Staying with you,
In
Dr.
Plot
Tanga,
13.
what were the guidelines of counting?
Now that is the entail which I'll come to.
Because in your press today or yesterday, you said that in some areas you agreed with the people and you were counting 1 up to 10, then the next 10. I
You
thought
know-
you already had a guideline.
Partly what Chris says, bringing people together, you bring a bit of problems together. When you go to count, that was, I think, older persons, is what you are referring to, the older persons.
Yes.
They told us count 10, 10 for us to follow up. Count 1 up to 10. Then we write 10. We start 1, 2, 3, 10, 20. That's what they agreed.
Doctor, I thought you had a guideline to follow, not people
We
dictating
didn't have
how
guidelines cast on stone. The most thing is we must count votes. But you must count votes in a manner that the people you are counting agree that what you are counting is right. Do you agree with me there?
to. I agree with you.
Now, if the people of Kigezi say with us, count 10, 10, 10, and don't hurry, you will still end up to the end, but you will do what they want and they are satisfied. The basic thing is that we must count people in a line.
The last one, before I get to Andrew, the one of the Youth League.
Now, what we are doing, what Chris said,
No,
it doesn't matter whether my son is a candidate. I'll come to that. I'll come to that because the Ugandan.
yes, but what I want to
Yeah,
ask
but
you,
you see,
Doctor,
when you are the
is that
one
this was,
presiding over election,
this was an
which your
opportunity
son
for
is
you
a-
to
is a
recuse
candidate.
yourself. And
I
be able
thought
to-
this show
to
is
see.
for 2 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what-
But
why
it's
are
not
you-
a lecture in Makerere.
Excuse me, sir, my host. Chris raised very fundamental.
Yes.
And when we go on, mine was to present that electoral trajectory.
And we get it, and we appreciate the electoral trajectory.
Now, when we come to Nambole, he is right. We
Kololo.
congregated a large population. The management of that population starts with accreditation. I received the end product of an accrediting system. When accreditation fails, you definitely will go and get members and non-members into the system.
Let's come back to the special interest groups. I'll come back to that. Let me come to Andrew. Andrew, when you look at this process,
Ask him in Pirao, how do they do it? How did Nganda become the chief of staff?
Honorable Ssemuju, I'll come to
Why
you.
did you hijack
Andrew,
the
when
show?
you look at this process and look at what
Nganda's
Dr.
party,
Chris
there are
is
no
saying
elections.
and what Dr. Tanga is saying, the suggestions he's making, are we moving forward? What are we doing as a country? This is the biggest party that has been in power for 40 years. What do you make of this?
Well, I think that NRM is a meeting ground of many contradictory movements. Let me begin with the good things about it, in the sense that the level of contestation for different political offices in NRM is very, very high. That is a reflection of two elements about NRM. One, that internally the party enjoys a high degree of diversity. There are different and diverse opinions which are allowed to flourish, which is a very good thing. There is a concept, there is a gentleman, I think he's an American, but of Lebanese descent, called Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He wrote a book called Anti-Fragile, and he developed this concept to say that all systems have three ingredients. Some systems are fragile, some systems are resilient, and some systems are anti-fragile. And he says the best state to be in is to be anti-fragile. So a fragile system is the one that can be blown by the wind, like a candle in the wind, and it goes off. Resilient system is like having a rock. The hurricane can come and the rock will not be moved. But the most effective systems, he argues, are those that are anti-fragile, those that know when a hurricane comes, like a tree that is able to bend and rise back. In my language, among the great people of Toro, we say, or aman gorjegeren kuporom. How do you say it in Rushigri?
The same.
But they have a person in Uganda.
The strength of every chain is in the weakest.
Is in the flexibility.
Flexibility. So to that degree, NRM has internal diversity, and it is able to face very many pressures inside itself, which allows it to continually improve or develop and fragility, in the sense that it's like a tree. If you were to get a greenhouse, remove all wind and grow trees, and this experiment has been done scientifically, when the trees grew older, they fell on their own weight. Why do you think these normal trees always stand? When it is still young, the wind comes, it bends. As it bends this side, the roots develop strength. When the wind blows this side, the roots of the other side develop strength. So over time, it keeps going stronger, and therefore is difficult to put down. So the positive thing about the NRM is that I think because of the internal struggles and all these things that is rising, I think they live in a good laboratory for learning and experimenting and improving whatever they are supposed to do. It also shows the level of competition inside the NRM, shows that really outside of the NRM, the contestation for power is limited. In the sense, in fact, I felt that the struggles and the battles we saw in the NRM were a reflection of the weakness of the opposition. Because if NRM had external opponents who threatened its existence, it would be much more coherent internally in order to be able to fight the opponent outside. So its own internal divisions that we saw in that election, and that confusion is a reflection of the weakness of the opposition, which makes it internally lax. The third element, of course, and which you would admire about them is I saw a clip of him actually even almost yelling at the president. So in their group, these ones, if you raise, you must exhibit what we call ideological purity. For them, whenever they have had a difference among themselves, they have split. So there used to be FDC. Then Bet Kamia broke off with Uganda Freedom something. Then after that, Muntu went with Anti. Then he has come with the PFF. Because they cannot manage internal contradictions and differences, what Ssemuju laughs about NRM, I think it's its strength. Of course, you could say that the NRM benefits from the existence of the state, and the state and its resources act as a glue to hold them together. But that notwithstanding, historically, NRM can be given credit that when Museveni was in the bush, his core group were people who were leftist Marxists. But then they allied with the Catholic Church, which is very conservative, with Mengo, another conservative institution, with the monarchical interest in Tora and Ankole, which were also very conservative. And when they came to power, they tried to create a broad-based organization to reach out to so many. So NRM has that strength. And a lot of the confusion we see inside of them and this organization and the laugh at is actually a source of their strength. Now, so that is the positive part. The negative part that worries me is that confusion you see in NRM also has an effect on the country. If you drive through Kampala and look at how shabby this town is, its potholes, its garbage, its open sewers, its everything, is a reflection of the kind of disaster and confusion you see within the NRM. If you go to schools and hospitals, the kind of confusion you find there is inside the NRM. In fact, one has to worry if NRM is the one in charge of the state. Therefore, it has a significant influence on the Electoral Commission, which is supervised by the government. So the Electoral Commission, how is the NRM going to preside over a government that has an Electoral Commission, or a state that has an Electoral Commission that is going to organize a national election? Somebody has to worry. Is the national election also going to be like this? We have to ask that question. The final thing that I saw there is the democratization of the NRM in its full swing. You know, there's an American philosopher called Will Durant. He said there are three systems of government that have been successful and unknown to man. The first is aristocracy, ruled by birth. The second is theocracy, ruled by religion or religious clerics. The third is democracy, ruled by money. The more money you have, the higher the chances of success. So, what we saw in the NRM is your ability to win an election was largely, not entirely, but largely determined by how much money you could command. You saw what Anita Among and the battle between Anita Among and Kadaga, Rebecca Kadaga. There was the point that she was spending 300,000 per delegate, and then she spent about 7.5 billion to easily beat her. So she ended up getting 92%, and Kadaga was walloped because she didn't have money. Many Ugandans said, oh, in a democracy this can't happen, but that's not true. If you look at the last election in the United States of 2004, 94% of members of the House who won an election spent more money than those that, the people who spent more money, 94% of those who won the seats in the House of Representatives spent more money than the opponent. In the Senate, it was 87.9%, which is roughly 88% of senators who won had spent more than their opponents. You can go to Sweden, the UK, and elsewhere. The more money you have, the higher the likelihood of success. Now, this money may be used differently. In Uganda, it may be used to give money directly to a voter. In America, it may be used maybe to
advertising, marketing.
Advertise and market, but whatever it is, money is an important political resource in a democracy, and that's what we are seeing.
Okay.
So that the election has been greatly monetized. The final things that we should also see about the NRM, don't panic my grandson, I'm about to give you the floor, is about 82% of NRM incumbent MPs lost the NRM flag.
301.
301 out of?
343.
Oh, so that's more than 82%. So the vast majority of NRM incumbent MPs lost the NRM flag, which also should give you an indication of not just the level of competition, but the kind of the response of NRM members across the country, outside of what we saw in Kololo. So many incumbents lost. How many ministers lost the flag?
Ministers should be around 7 now.
But anyhow, for me, it's a very good indicator that the NRM, they are very keen to throw out their people. May have seen Ssemuju here since he was elected under FDC. The man has become a permanent fixture, just like Museveni in the party and in the position he has in his constituency. Yes, but the NRM itself, with the exception of Museveni, all other ones of their members are really subjected to. NRM has a very high anti-incumbency bias. So in that sense, it is a party from my perspective, that is actually continually renewing itself. It is able to shed off the old, bring in the new, and constantly change. And and this is the strength, actually.
And I'll come back to you on that one. Honorable Ssemuju, coming to you. When you look at this new guard of SEC, what do you make of it? Except yes.
About our SEC?
Yes.
Okay.
Does he know what SEC is?
But Tanga Odoi,
Their SEC
Honorable Ssemuju was
their
both a
SEC has
journalist.
Nubian Lee.
Tanga Odoi, the political parties by law are public institutions. This is not your NRM. Taxpayers pay money partly to run this party. So it's a public institution, that's why you go to register. But for me, I think the point you started with, whether as a country we are making strides or not, because the nature of the NRM internal elections is also reflective of the general elections. NRM as a military outfit presided over by General Yoweri Museveni, who does not subject himself to any internal process. I remember when I was an observer, there was a lady, Elizabeth somebody from Luwero. People didn't even know whether she was okay. She went and picked forms to contest first as a chairperson of NRM. But even in that state that people were doubting, Museveni immediately appointed her senior presidential advisor to make sure he doesn't face any election. Then he will preserve Chigongo because of history. Because when Professor Ode died during the Luwero War, the Waganda fighters were always complaining that this thing was, this outfit was of herdsmen. So that's how Museveni made Chigongo the vice chair. But Chigongo was largely during the Luwero War, Museveni's driver between Kampala and the bush. I respect him. There are many things I will not say about him. But that was his main job. Museveni goes to Kenya. When he comes back, it is Chigongo driving him to Nakulabye before he sneaks into Luwero. So that's the vice. And those are the sort of vice that Museveni will want. Whether vice president, whether NRM vice chairman, the level must be of Chigongo, Jessica Lupo, and so on and so forth. So he will preserve himself, preserve Chigongo, and then if he wants Charigonza to go, he will get Baryomunsi. But Baryomunsi is also not the standard of SEC. Because the Baryomunsi I have known, he will speak his mind. Sometimes he say things that are very irritating, but he can't change himself. Baryomunsi is Baryomunsi. So that's why I think he has overstayed in the SEC. So you don't belong there.
He was just there for 5 years.
No, he was there. There was an extension because of COVID.
No, he came during COVID.
I came during COVID.
Okay. Oh dear. So you had to leave because you are Baryomunsi.
I'm going nowhere.
This election,
Yeah,
you need to ask yourself, there's something that the media is not doing. This guy who defeated Mukura, Echodu. I was with him at Capital Gang. I thought he was an ordinary man. I leave the studio and he's saluted by the military. They are the ones opening his vehicles to end, even before he became SEC member. So Museveni fixes these things early enough. When they are speaking about Anita Mongo, the money, which is true, Museveni gave Kadaga 800 million shilling and a chopper to go and campaign, because the man likes confusion. So he gives the money and says, both of you can go and campaign. And so the change, the new faces you are talking about, that's how even the military starts. The time that General Kazin was in charge of military police, and he goes to arrest the Chihanda and Kashiring, very senior people who came here, because Museveni came here with about 1st, 3rd, 5th, and I think 7th battalion, and we were commanding them were the Kashiring, Chihanda. Then he sends the junior man Kazin to go and arrest them. When Shiring took off up to Congo. So he likes working with people who are vulnerable. The moment you exhibit some degree of stability, like Ebrahim, you will leave. One of the crimes, I don't want to lose this point. One of the crimes.
I'm just adding to what you're saying. Are you suggesting that this was meticulously orchestrated?
It is. This is a military operation. You're dealing
with end?
You're dealing with a general. These institutions are there to rationalize decisions and to make Museveni look like he's democratic. Because there is no democracy in NRM. This SEC, the one that he has disbanded, the last time it had a meeting was when Oranya died and they were processing the next speaker. These grant orders, they gathered at Musa Court here for a meeting, even passed resolutions. And Museveni said he has given you permission to hold a SEC meeting. He invited them. From today onwards, all SEC meetings must take place in State House and resolution number 1. Let them, both of them, say that I am lying.
We are lying.
Tanga Odoi, you a professor.
But you are lying.
So let Chris also say I am lying.
You are not accurate.
He said all the meetings must be in State House.
No.
Correct me.
You shall correct the record.
Then that particular SEC meeting had postponed the NRM roadmap. In the evening, Museveni said the roadmap starts tomorrow, I'm going to launch. The same people who had postponed it now walked to Plot 10 to receive Museveni to launch what they had postponed. But in the meeting, he came with the resolutions in his armpit, the one of Chigongo, and he kept saying, these Chigongo resolutions, these Chigongo resolutions. So these ones had to go. They were now wiseacking. Who are you even to sit, convene yourself and act like an institution when I am not there? One time, the Honorable Manyamshega told me all the NRM people, his contemporary, had a meeting, a conference hall at Parliament. They said, let's say, former Vice Kaziwe be the one to chair us. We need to speak. Museveni had a meeting. He came running. He said, you guys, why are you excluding me? This is a very good conversation about the future of the country. I should also participate. But he said, I am very busy, so let's postpone the one of today. I will host the next meeting. It never sat. So the SEC, people who think that SEC is an institution that should function as an institution, Bariomos and the group, the ones who are behind the Chigongo resolutions that Museveni came holding, all of them have left. Now he has assembled a new army. Because Museveni likes working with people who are vulnerable. The moment you express stability, you are a problem, you've got to go. One of the meetings of SEC, Charlie Gonza arrives and he says, there's something I want to say here. When we are in Luwero, we are the ones fighting, you remember. You are going to cause this country a problem. The other day they killed Abiriga, you ran at the scene of crime. He said, and I'm quoting Charlie Gonza, when your vehicle was stolen in Arua, they had to kill people. Suppose they kill you, and why do you continue running to the scenes of crime? Second thing, we must discuss the transition. What happened next election? Charlie Gonza had to be repressed by Bariomos.
So you are saying to the president who brought me into SEC?
I am saying, so tell me if I am lying that Charlie Gonza didn't say these things when he was banging the table with his stick. So Charlie Gonza had to be head of tout of SEC. Now Bariomos came in, who at that time looked relatively junior. But Bariomos has now earned his right at the table. So he begins speaking the same way you see him here criticizing NRM elections. The next thing, I'll be surprised if he retains his cabinet post. Because in the past, Museveni would... Tanga Odoi... Tanga Odoi...
This man is capable of being
Museveni always spoke about the right forum. At that time, you were in Makerere. I was covering Museveni. So I have a fair knowledge. You may have been closer to him, but I have a fair knowledge of how Museveni operates. So these new yes men and women he has assembled from Anita Mongo to Echedu. I was with Echedu, the man who can't communicate. You see, you are at a show like this, they ask you, say yes. Then the moderator is suffering. Yes, about what? He said, okay. That is now the guy in the SEC. I was with him.
No, he's not here. Don't discuss him.
Yeah.
But the show was public. You mean we are in heaven?
No, I think
We are on a talk show when the man was
I
sitting.
know he's not here.
No,
he
I am
can't-
telling you what happened.
But
I'm
he
not
can't
talking
defend
about
himself.
him. Beyond the show, I don't
He
know
can't
him. But
defend
he
himself.
could not communicate.
But he's not here to
Whether it
defend
was by choice, but he couldn't. So the new faces in SEC were carefully selected, were helped, and the mistake. And you can see by the way they behavior, and that's why these people had to leave. That Kadaga can go to Koro and he's saying, Your Excellency, this is unacceptable. Bariomus goes to Koro, he picks a microphone, this is not an election. You can't be in SEC, Bariomus, you're in the wrong place.
But
That's
can you
not the
discuss it?
address for. So these others will come and say, these elections were the
Can
best
you
in this
discuss
country.
without dragging
This country has
President Museveni
this
into
country. But even you, when you are complaining, why were you not complaining to Tanga Odoi, who's the chairman of the Electoral Commission? You're complaining to Museveni.
Because they are
The
not-
elections were being conducted
No,
by
but
Tanga
the
Odoi,
president who said
but
what is
Bariomus
happening.
was saying, Your Excellency,
Yeah, because
was he now the
said
chairman
what
of
is
the Electoral
happening. I
Commission?
was answering his question.
So what
Actually, he was
worries me,
answering.
Yes, I was answering
what
his
worries
question.
Yes,
me
lastly.
is the point Mwenda made in passing, because Mwenda wanted to argue like an academic. See, you can't have credible elections under M7. All that I was laboring to tell you is that most of the processes under M7 are fixed. But M7 is not stupid. I have said this and I will repeat. M7 is an intelligent man with a bad heart.
With a bad heart?
Yes.
No.
Very
not-
intelligent, but
not
with a bad
Museveni.
heart.
Museveni has a good heart.
That's how you measure him. It's you, Professor.
Yeah,
And you
I measure him as
And
a
I don't
good
want by people to blame Tanga Odoi. Tanga Odoi is just a hangerman. He doesn't pass the judgment. The judgments are passed by judges elsewhere. His job is to come and chop off
No.
the head.
Thank you.
So Bariomus was unleashed, and that's why Bariomus deliberately, both Bariomus and Kadaga, were complaining about the elections, not to the chairman of the Electoral Commission, but to the judge himself who had passed the judgment, this one must go. None of them was addressing Tanga Odoi. Tell me why. Because they should be angry with the Tanga Odoi, all of them you have messed up election. But Chris was addressing the judge
But he was the
himself.
meeting and he was the chairman. So you're addressing the
Okay.
chair.
Gentlemen,
Chairman
allow me
was
to
the
bring in
president.
Professor here. Professor Sarah, you know, even from the primaries of the NRM that Doctor has spoken about, from the 72,000 villages all the way, especially the heat started to pick up in the primaries for members of parliament to get the flag. It also came to the National Delegates Conference. We, the population, why have we cheapened ourselves to 1,000 shillings, 300,000, 500,000? What does this spell for national elections?
In Gaza, they get killed every day going to access food. They kill, the following day they return.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, thank you very much. And your question is what has happened to us that we have cheapened ourselves?
To 1,000, 300,000, 500,000.
Thank you very much. I think it depends on what people think they are being told about that money. First and foremost, in villages, like we saw at the electoral presses, those who went to attend rallies, in some instances were given transport refund. And that transport refund ranged from 1,000 to 4,000 to 5,000. And that is different from those actually who engaged in actual buying the vote. Because there was also the buying the vote that we had was taking place in the night. But during the day when people come to a rally, people have traversed hills to come to your rally, and indeed a border ride back home is 30,000, but they're given 1,000 or 4,000. I don't think that was really like cheapening themselves. And the other thing we need to remember is to give it to rural people. Or Ugandans. Ugandans are not that daft that if you give me 1,000 shillings, I'm definitely going to vote for you. There are cases where we had in the primaries where there were claims that people were paid, but people actually didn't vote the way they were alleged to have. And it's not that they did not take money. They said we took money, but we knew where to vote. So they being given the money and deciding are two different processes. If you're lucky, the money and your agenda will coincide and the people will vote for you. But in other places, people actually will take the money and vote your opponent, even when the opponent has given nothing. And the argument is, depending on who you are, For example, if you're a minister like Honorable Munsi and he decided to give money, there is no guarantee that people will vote for him. And even those who take his money will comfortably not vote for him, arguing that because he's a minister, this was their money anyway. They wouldn't see it as personal money. So we need to distinguish between the two things. First of all, what is the money being used for? But also, being given money does not translate in you changing your opinion and voting. So that was for the rural areas. Now, you saw the issue in Kololo, and by the way, the issues in Kololo, it's not just that things occurred in Kololo. Most of that money was not being given in Kololo. It was being given outside Kololo. We saw teams, delegates from particular regions, camping in particular hotels. Actually, economically, many hotels in Kampala made money. So if you've come from District X or Region X, our hotel is going to be Grand Global. Okay? So every aspiring MOP and leader would have to go there to ensure that their facilitation goes, and it was being coined into many things, either transportation. If you came from far, some people, I think, there were reports of some people being given 50,000, there were reports of others being giving 30, others gave 10, and others, of course, gave 300,000, others gave 500,000, and these are all reports because I didn't see any. Now, the question for me as an analyst is to say, if someone has come from very far, has pitched camp, let's say in Grand Global Hotel, and everyone's passing by and giving them transport refund, I don't, from where we sit, we see people being cheapening themselves. From where they sit, actually they made money. If you came from a very far area and you went back with 1 million shillings, this trip to Kampala was not a very bad idea, okay? But of course then they had to vote, and some people, we are told, who gave the money were not actually among the people standing for positions in stake, okay? But people are trying to show delegates in areas that they care, so that when they finally go to consolidate the vote come January, people will remember that when we came to Kampala there was something. So I think people are not cheapening themselves. People are making rational decisions, okay? Rational decisions don't have to be perfect according to you and me. That decision is made according to what the person thinks at the time, okay? So if people are passing by in a hotel where delegates have stayed and they are giving them money, they'll take the money. But how they decide to vote depends on actually how well people lobbied them and how well people voted. So I think we should distinguish the two things. But also I think, as I've said here before, we focus on an electoral process because that's what is happening now. But the question I asked here before, what else happens outside the political cycles? When we go as researchers to meet people, we pay them transport refund because they came in an FGD. When you go as an agriculture expert, whether you're ACAD or whatever, you are meeting a number of farmers, you brought them from all over the hills to teach them new forms of terracing, you're going to pay them. You pay them for learning the information you have, you pay them for the food they are going to eat, you pay them for the transport refund. So politics is the point at which this is heightened and amplified. But in general life, we have built a culture since neoliberalism that people have to be rewarded for every activity they engage in, okay? That's why even when people come to your workshop, even if it's in Kampala here, people want to be paid. So let us see it within the general tapestry of how things occur in this country.
Thank you. Let me read some feedback that has come through. Dear Timothy, the primaries of the NRM recently concluded national conference were marred with commotion, chaos, and allegations of fake delegates. From what transpired, I am convinced 100% that Dr. Tanga Odoi is the best chairperson for the National Electoral Commission for NRM. Without Tanga Odoi, we would not have registered million petitions. Kudos to him. However, can the doctor clear the allegation that he sometimes calls his registrars to announce non-winners, as heard from the minister, or the minister from Namutumba? Okay, this is Godwin from Muyenga. Thank you, Godwin. Good evening, Timothy. Thank you for the show. How I wish that Honorable Ssemuju would join the Patriotic League of Uganda.
They will shave my beard.
He may be a member.
Can Dr. Tanga Odoi explain the numerical counting that happened? Okay, he will do that.
From 100 to 150.
Depends on the base.
I also want to know from Dr. Tanga Odoi exactly
Tanga Odoi
how he would rate his performance, especially alongside these elections. Okay, thank you for that message. Good evening, Timothy. I request that Honorable Chairperson of the EC tells the people why he chose to have voters line up. Isn't he aware that most of the people who voted are not supposed to vote? Okay. And lastly, why can't the doctor inform us about the verdict of the petitions and what it means? I think he did that. He had a press conference where he explained a lot about what was happening there. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be digesting these issues and more.
Guys.
MTN Super, wali yakapia musite wali yakapia. MTN kabode super mustairo mpia. Then you kabode smartphone nebi akabibiona. MTN kabode super mustairo mpia. Then you kabode smartphone nebi akabibiona.
Get the new Kabode Super smartphone and enjoy 16 GB free. Start with a deposit of only 45,000 Uganda shillings and pay the rest mpora in daily installments of less than 1K. You can also make weekly and monthly installments. Together, our vibes are unstoppable. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN.
MTN is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here. In the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's what you feel in the gentle caress of tropical wind from the mountaintops. And the glow in your heart from a warm neighborly invite. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome back from that quick commercial break here on Behind the Headlines. My name is Timothy Nyangweso. In the studio, I'm joined by Professor Sarah Sali, Dr. Tanga Odoi, Honorable Ibrahim Ssemuju Nganda. I'm also joined by the Honorable Minister, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi. We have excused Andrew Mwenda because he's not feeling well and will remain as the panel. We are here. Quick messages here. This is JB. He says, I'm tuning in from Ngora. I want to ask Dr. Tanga why we didn't complete some of the voting, especially because of the challenges that we had of money. Dr. Tanga should leave the politics of Tororo. I don't know how that has come in anyway. I am Felix, watching directly from Mitiana. Thank you for hosting such responsible people on the different issues. Okay, thank you, Felix. The last one, I am one of the candidates who participated in the just concluded SEC elections in Kololo. But what I saw was totally a mess of everything. The problem was not Tanga Odoi, the problem was commercialization of politics by the Right Honorable Anita Among. By the way, the president may undermine the lady, but she will capture him. Okay, you haven't left a name and you said you participated in SEC. Very interesting. Let me come to Dr. Chris, you had something to respond to, then we...
Let me start by criticizing UBC, the theme which you put for this show. When you said rebuilding the NRM, yes. Can the new SEC restore credibility and unity? Rebuilding presupposes that it is in tatters. That the NRM is tatters, has collapsed and so forth, so it needs to be rebuilt. No. I think save for the irregularities which we have reported in the electoral process, by and large, the conference went well, and NRM remains a very strong party by any standards. So an insinuation should not be made or created that because we had these mishaps, therefore the party is disunited, the party has collapsed, the party has disintegrated. No, that's very far from the truth. The party remains strong, coherent, and I'm sure these mishaps in the electoral processes will be fixed as we move along. Secondly, from my reading, it is not true that it is the president, the chairman of the party, that who was pulling strings from behind, as Honorable Ssemuju wants to insinuate. I know Honorable Ssemuju cannot complete a debate and an argument unless he brings in President Museveni in the center.
And this conspiracy theory.
Actually, if you invite him and say, today you are barred from mentioning President Museveni, he will not come. Because he wants to do. But like that person who sent the message said, like, I don't want to blame Dr. Tanga Odoi, I don't want to blame the chairman of the party, but like I have said from the beginning.
You want to blame Ssemuju?
No. I just, like I've said, I think the problem was because we went lining up and we had not experienced having these elections by lining up when you have thousands of people gathered in one place. So we didn't prepare adequately for it. And that's why the arrangements broke down, and some of us thought the outcome does not legitimately represent what should have come out of that election. For instance, Dr. Tanga Odoi forgot to invite us to address the delegates. So I do not know on what basis those who voted depended on. Like me, I had not interacted with the delegates. When I moved around, I just met 12 members of the district executive committee, and I was telling them I will address the delegates in Kororo, and we never addressed them. So eventually, Eh? No. Some of us never moved from hotel to hotel. So at the end of the day, somebody is right to say money given to delegates probably influenced whom they voted in this election, because we never talked to them. For us, the regional vice chairpersons, we never got a chance to address them. So they went into the polls without knowing us. Yes, you could say some of us are public, we are on TV and so forth, but we never got that chance. So my concern is just the mishaps, the shortcomings associated with the electoral arrangements. But other than that, the party remains strong. Now the issue of money.
What keeps it strong?
Yes?
What keeps it strong? What keeps the party strong?
What keeps it strong? First of all, the only party with that support base that cuts across the whole country, from corner to corner, from Kisoro to Kabong, from West Nile to Bukedi. NRM is present in every village in this country. I can challenge any other political party which has that kind of massive presence everywhere. There is no other party that can organize a massive conference like we saw in Kororo. So this, yes, there was a storm in Kororo, but this is just a storm in a teacup and can be fixed. Those electoral issues will be fixed, and in no way have they fundamentally damaged the fortunes of NRM in Uganda.
Honorable,
now,
yes. Let me ask you a straight question.
Yes.
If we remove the state and the president, would NRM survive?
Yes. Yes. So the people you saw in Kororo, are they president's children?
Let me ask another.
Yes,
let me ask you another hypothetical question.
Yes.
Dr. Tanga Odoi, the youth elections
Yes.
were the day before.
Yes.
The interest groups.
Yes.
And the violence, we saw what happened. The president came the next day and sat from morning to 4 a.m. If he was absent,
and we credit him for that.
Yes, if he was absent, wouldn't we see double what we saw the day before?
Yes, probably yes. If he was absent, there would have been violence.
Dr. Tanga Odoi has said it. He walked to a podium. He managed what was happening. With his absence, wouldn't it be worse?
I think let me help Chris a little. You are seemingly suggesting.
It's a question, Doctor.
Yes, a question, but out of your you say it's hypothetical.
Yes, but we're basing on the special interest group election that had happened the day before, where the police had to come in. The president had to call to try to calm the situation. Came the next day.
Have you had a youth election in this country?
Which one?
Or in any university? You are in one of the universities in this country. Have you known of any youth election in any university or institution which is not chaotic?
Yes.
If they are 1 out of 10, Islamic University in Mbale.
But
Let me tell you, the issue of youth and the issue of the youth which was there was not the issue of just election. It was instrumentalizing the issue of money into an election. That you don't give us money, we don't vote. That's how it started. Now, when we managed them, I simply told them money is actually supposed to be given at the district level by district administrators. Here you've come to vote. And you manage them.
So can I answer your question?
Yes, no, Dr. Chris.
Their money was there.
Okay, presently, yes, President Yoweri Museveni is a central pillar in NRM, and yes, he holds many things together, but when he retires, the NRM party will not collapse. And that was actually the central theme of my campaign, that we need to do everything possible to strengthen the institutional framework within NRM so that the party is able to outlive us who are in leadership.
Founders.
The founders, and even us who are in leadership. And so the answer is yes, even when President Yoweri Museveni leaves tomorrow, the party shall remain. We are there. We have millions of, when we compile the register, we have a membership of about 20 million Ugandans.
And I'm going to come back to
those
that.
are not the president's biological children, those are Ugandans all over the country. So will they die? If the president retires, they will be there. You just need a strong leadership
you had a comment
to keep the party moving.
Yes. One day there was a report by BBC about independence political parties, and CCM, ANC, ZANU, I think about only 6 were still surviving. If you go to Kenya, KANU, that once was a mass might party, they don't even have an MP in parliament. This party that has this, first of all, we are under military government by military general. The NRM is a state party, and all state parties are going to be that size of the NRM. I have told the people here, when Obote was going to Shenyi every year, they were removing us from schools to go and line up the roads. And we begin singing for an Obote who was in a Mercedes-Benz, not even hearing us, as he was going to Shenyi. Obote yanunula Uganda yafe n'amajege galwananga nnyo obutediriza. Dr. Oboto wangale mama. Nyamulunga would follow because we are there all day. And the man just passes. In 1 minute he has left. He hasn't even stopped to see and hear us sing. The people who were in UPC, Dr. Waliomons, we are not Milton Obote's biological children. They disappeared. Even in Mushenyi where he was going, they are not there. They are now only in an enclave called Arango. So state parties will inevitably collapse when they lose state power. This particular party is the Museveni party. That's why they have appropriated state institutions and turned them into NRM. They go to State House for meetings. That's where they eat. We pay the allowances from taxpayers' money, pay their bills, go to Kololo, which is a public facility. They are the only ones who can access it, close roads, do everything. The moment Museveni leaves, maybe you have seen, and was just left, his son tweeted and he said, now them, Pirao, they are the youth wing of NRM. Military serving military general. So they are not the idea by people who are constructing parties. And I'll tell you, this country has changed a great deal. I was a journalist covering the Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. The first Political Parties and Organizations Act that was brought before the committee, that is, was even before the referendum of 2005. Members of that committee, the Ben Watchers, the Honorable Dan Wandero Galo, Medikagwa, and others, the lawyers, they agreed in the committee that for us to give a country a better law on political parties without prejudices, Ben Watcher, who was chairing the committee, and I think Wandero Galo, who were known to be opposition, and Maratu and others, they said, let Medikagwa be the one to make the presentation. They will not think because it was NRM. Because Museveni was proposing that parties must operate only at headquarters. And NRM being NRM, you see, many of NRM MPs don't read. Maybe they only need their names. They passed the law until Museveni detected and he returned it. But the point that I'm making is
was it only NRM supposed to read the bill?
But the opposition knew. That's why they offered it to NRM to be the one. It is Medikagwa who presented it. So the country has changed. I think we need to be having a conversation about the quality of our own elections, including internal party processes. And that's why if you read the constitution and the law on political parties, parties by law are supposed to be democratically, internally democratically, they're supposed to be national in character. Building political parties was supposed to be partly a public duty that will go and build, because one of them inevitably will be in power tomorrow. Even the conversation, I don't have to celebrate if NRM is having these sort of elections or any other party, because in particular this party is in charge of all our affairs. And we will have the same conversation about Electoral Commission when elections fail. The temptation is to go for those who were at the helm of elections and then forget the rest of the people. Because you see, for the NRM elections, and that's why only maybe someone who is insane will blame Tanga Odoi. They know their own problem, because the people who were splashing money, that money was not given by Tanga Odoi. So that's not a crime you can accuse him. I have said this one is a hanger man. His job was to deliver.
To cut off the head.
So they said, Chris Variomunsi, chop off the head. That one I have finished, sir. So bring another one. So in the future, and I think because when Chris joined the parliament and others, the conversation was about the country. How do we make our country better? How do we make processes, even whether an institution is private, whether an institution is public, because all these institutions ultimately serve the public. That conversation has gone now. We are now in a partisan discussion. Tanga Odoi will celebrate if there is a failure in NOP and PFF. Bariomunsi will tell you, for us, we are a mass party. Because if in a multi-party democracy you have only one party, there is absolutely nothing to celebrate about. That for us, we have covered from Chisolo to where you were not there. Why did Museveni go to, in his party, this Museveni, who is very smart in building parties, his UPM, he had only one MP, Chiyonga, who became an MP because the DP guy was killed. So that's where he came from.
Okay.
He went to Mbarara North and he was defeated by Sam Kutesa. But after capturing power, using a gun, using state resources, removing Makere professors from classrooms to come and chop for him heads of people he doesn't like. Now they say they are a mass party, we are a mass party. Mass where?
Doctor, allow me, let me first finish.
You allow this cynical.
No, I'm
I'm not cynical. I am telling you we must have a conversation about improving our processes.
Something that Dr. Tanga Odoi said, provisions, recommendations that were made to SEC, isn't this an indictment for you, for a process that was as a sham, chaotic as it was, that we put your head on the platter right now?
No, you see, SEC, there is a misunderstanding even of SEC outside there, including even the candidates who are
policy-making organ.
SEC sits only when the chairman has called you to discuss.
So you agree with what Honorable
said? No, and as a matter of fact, we didn't discuss in depth the arrangements for the elections, like the issue of decentralizing or not. We didn't have a discussion on that. What he's referring to is that the commission brought some guidelines on vetting.
But the Honorable Kadaga said you had abandoned the guidelines. That's what she said in Colorado.
I think most of the proposals he was bringing were seen as sapping the powers of SEC. And I think we did not agree to some of them. Like he was saying, there should be an independent committee to vet, and yet the constitution of NRM says SEC. What we were emphasizing was that we must be fair as we vet the candidates.
Chris, how can you be fair when all of you in SEC are all candidates vetting others and disqualifying them?
That's not true. Not all of us were candidates.
I don't usually agree with Tanga Odoi, but you can't be candidates vetting and throwing out other candidates.
Not all of us were candidates. Was Dr. Nganda a candidate? Was Otafire a candidate? There were many who were not the candidates. So it's not true that all of us were candidates.
And when they were vetting you,
you would excuse yourself. You would excuse yourself and not be part. Even when we were actually discussing the president as a flag bearer and chairman, we made sure he's not there. He had to excuse himself. So,
but even if they were not contesting in Kololo, they are going to contest in their areas they're coming from, and many of these delegates will also influence the outcome of the election back in the constituencies. And I think that's what makes it complicated for SEC to vet.
Not really. I don't think this process vetting was the main problem, because we not even put the complicated criteria. Like when they
no, we mean the vetting that Dr. Tanga Odoi suggested.
The recommendations that came from the Electoral Commission of the NRM as SEC, to be able to weigh and see exactly what you have gone through and what he had recommended.
Yeah.
No, that was not the true. What we have gone through, for instance, the security was compromised and non-delegates accessed. That had nothing to do with the vetting. The use of
the decentralization would have cured
that was not discussed actually.
But decentralization would have cured that, Honorable Minister.
Yes, even me, I had that view. Actually, we demanded for a meeting, but we never had a chance to discuss the nitty-gritty. Like the decentralization would have been a cure for what happened in the
But okay, in case that
but we
both,
never discussed it.
but
It
in
is
case,
true that that proposal came to us and we rejected it because some of us, even who were candidates,
okay,
wanted
but,
that one because we
in
had the very peaceful elections during COVID. The ones which delivered us, they were.
Yeah, but you
but
see,
I think the issue is in the event that both systems are not tenable, and that the NRM is going to continue being here. So we are going to have more elections of SEC in future. What is the system that is tenable?
Okay.
Well, I think we have to draw lessons from what happened in Kororo.
Okay.
One, we must condemn and fight the excessive use of money. There are candidates who spent over 20 billion from our simple informal counting. And one would wonder why invest all those billions in SEC. I have been there for 5 years. I wouldn't invest even 500 million in that SEC position.
Because what do you get in return?
Dr. Tanga Odoi has been with us there. He's a member as the chair of the Electoral Commission. I was not getting even a single shilling as being a member of SEC. So why would somebody invest billions to sit there? But the what I also saw, many people...
Wouldn't it be the privilege of being next to power?
Well, I don't know. I think people have different reasons for wanting to join the SEC. Some think when you are there, you can negotiate for deals when you are there. Some think you are close to the president, therefore you can get some privileges, maybe what. But I think many of them are mistaken. And I'm sure they will get disappointed along the way.
May I just interject that as a manager of the whole process of election once it started, I managed 2015, 2020, and this one. This one was extraordinary. The number of candidates in every unit kept increasing. Because if you come to the candidates for SEC, these were 300 people. 300. Now, what do you use to lower the number in
but
a democratic sense
Dr. Tanga Odoi,
to make it whatever?
So
The party, I think what is said and what you don't want to accept, you, Mwenda said it here. NRM looks like it has captured the ground better than before.
but
It's now
RPF is even better.
It
They
is
win
seen.
elections by 99.8%.
No, we are not comparing you.
No, I am comparing you to other mass
No,
parties.
we are just still on our own.
All military parties are the same.
Let us first go on our own.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, my reading is the population has appreciated the party more than before.
Yeah, in Rwanda they have appreciated it even more.
The interventions the government has made into the population looks like it has actually got the party more following. Now, when you come to the candidates, we levied fees, expression of interest fees. People paid 3 million. How many did we have for parliament? 2,750. Which had never been parliamentary positions.
Doctor,
So if you see that wave into Kololo, you see determined faces ready to vie, to fight for positions. Even positions within the leagues was highly competed for. The only thing I saw, which I need to say, and is a good whatever, is that there is a bit of more Western region taking hold of most of the position. Because if you see the leagues, democratic yes, but has been taken by a region. Bunyoro up to Kasese.
It is their party.
That is the only thing maybe we have to debate. But the enthusiasm, that interest for the party has been too high.
You see, when NRM was being registered, I was a journalist here. In one of those meetings, the president used to hold at conference center here. He told Haji Chigongo, Honorable Jaberi Bidandisari, who went to register the party, he used the word shock and awe. 2 million you must accompany you when you are registering a party. Yet even one person. Because Tanga Odoi is overwhelmed by the number of candidates. Bayomus is very happy. Their membership is 18 million. This is abnormal.
How?
The Communist Party in China, what is the membership, Tanga Odoi, of the Communist Party?
The Communist Party is divided.
No, what's the membership? And you know, and you have mentioned, that's why I'm asking you. I was with you on the show and you mentioned it. The Conservative Party in UK, I think the total membership is about 210,000. You cannot say that everybody in Uganda, this is conscription, that everybody is a member. You have 18 million. They said 20. And then, look, I have said here, people in Palestine who are dying, every day they go to queue for food at these zones created by Israel and America, and they get killed. But they have nothing to eat, so the following day they will return. You saw a full figure in Kororo on camera. We want money, we came here for money, everybody wants money. You see, Museveni has moved away. When he came here from Owero, they had the National Resistance Council. The Kategayas, the Mushega, the Dandesari, the Njuba, the Muntus. That was the quality in their resistance council. But I don't think they were more than 150. And they used to have a discussion. And then they had some other groups. Today, Museveni goes to Kololo like a hard as a man.
What was the population of Uganda then?
The population of Uganda, the first census that was done under Museveni was 16 million in 1991.
It was only.
When he came away 14
we are now
million.
40 something.
Yeah, so the first, so for me,
Yes.
it is intentional. The man goes like, because one herdsman will have 20,000 heads of cattle and he will be there whistling and enjoying. That's what happens in Cole. That's why Tanga Odoi, who is responsible for
it depends how you have set
there,
up your party.
and he says, you see, even the president came down and he said,
Their
what is
like,
happening? What is, you simply
their party is like
you can't
ANC.
have a conference.
No, Timothy, it depends how you have
of
set up.
30,000 people. That's not a conference.
No, it depends.
30,000.
Thank you, Honorable Ssemuju.
That's why you end up seeing
I was saying,
on TV
Doctor,
saying we want the money. It is money that has brought us here.
It depends how you have set up your political parties. In ANC, for instance, South Africa, they have members and supporters. So the members are those who register, pay a membership fee, and have a card, the membership card. Then when you go to elections, there are those who support the ANC.
Yes, that's
but in
normal.
our case,
that's what in every party.
No. In our case, we have chosen to ask Ugandans who want to be members to become members, and we have registered them. And there is nothing wrong with that one.
Doctor,
so it depends what you choose.
So don't cry that Koro was small. If you said everybody must be a member. Next time you need to go to heaven, because even number will become small. Yeah, if anyone is saying that you're going to have 30,000, Koro is huge. That Koro is huge. They can't fit there. And Williams says it is okay.
Dr. Tanga Odoi, there are two questions that
There's
came
something
from the person that sent the text. The numerical question, but also the opportunity for you to recuse yourself from the Youth League chairperson.
No, I think, first of all,
why? Because his son was the candidate.
Yes. Do you call registrars to announce the winners? I think registrars work independently, and that's why some of them make mistakes. They make independent mistakes. I can't call registrars across the country that announce this one, not this. I would have announced Mariamus, for example, because I've been with him more than the person who has taken over Western region. I don't. The other one I told him in Makerere years ago. So I don't have that leverage. I don't have that leverage. And second, I was controlling this election, these processes, through other commissioners. We divided ourselves such that one was dealing with PWDs, another dealing with the workers, another dealing with... So that I was only dealing with the overall. And also coming in case there were altercations here and there, like you say, because of the crowd. So I didn't do that. Why do you choose to line up? That's what the Constitution says. We must line up. That's the Constitution. And lining up a method is not bad. It's just people who messed it up. It's a very transparent system. You don't have people behind you, you have lost. Then another one asked, how do you rate yourself? Very high. To handle that election and reach that extent, amidst the few odds here and there, I think as a commission we did very well. And then about my son and the league, which sounds very interesting, and something which is, we set parameters that for one to qualify to be this, one must be aged this to that, 18 to 35. And we're helped by the legal fraternity. Now, when they come from 18 to 35, the elders were coming from 55 to 55 and above, older persons. Yet by law, the older persons in the constitution should be 60 years and above. But for mobilization, that is how we are advised. I want to be clear about that.
That's how we defined old age in NRM.
In NRM. Now, they were saying, I did that because my son is 31 years or 32 years. No. It was not only my son benefiting from it. This was used from village level in a college system election up to the national level. It so happened that he also rigged through and is now at the national level. And even at the national level, if he doesn't have votes, the line will be short. Now, what happened about the youth election was very unfortunate. The starting point of youth election was a candidate started on money. We are either paid or no election. And you know, money stirs up everything. All the youth now joined. We want our money. The Electoral Commission of the party must pay us. We are not responsible for any payment. That was not our area. That was a secretariat. And all payments were supposed to be made through administrative secretaries. Since these youth were coming from different villages, different districts, their admins were handling them. Some had even been paid. Now, their election was to be on 26th. But like he said, we had very huge elections. When we sat at secretariat, I had told secretariat staff, the team, that let's decentralize some of these elections. We have cricket oval. Take the youth to cricket oval. We have another ground, the other side of that Lugogo, cricket and something.
It's called Millennium Park.
Take the elders there. The advantage would be you elect and only the elected go back to Kololo. Because those who are supposed to have been elected, that population was supposed to have gone back home after their election. The only ones elected would be moving to the national conference. We are denied that chance. We are even saying MOOBs, where we are actually doing accreditation from, we would even have ground in the MOOBs and do some elections from that way. Because 24,000 people brought under one whatever was a huge task. Now, it came to the point that when they were in the Kololo, in the MOOBs, accreditation became a problem. Unfortunately, even one of our delegates died. I think was sickly and overstayed in the line.
From the district of Kwen.
The district of Kwen. Now, once the accreditation system failed, people the next day had to come and force their way in. And that's what Dr. Chris is saying. Some of them were genuine, others were not genuine. Now, as Electoral Commission, we stuck to reading the register to as much as we could. But politicians being what they are now mobilizing some of these people to even interrupt that. So how did we handle it with our staff? We handled to as much as we can. And we succeeded with older persons very well. The PWDs, we had a very good election, apart from the complaint I'm hearing that there was also a bit of supporters of candidates. One of the candidates who lost actually raised that, and I found he had some whatever. Supporters of candidates were yelling here and would even infiltrate, which was unfortunate, because PWDs are they're easily marked. And we had very good elections. The only elections we didn't have was the Entrepreneur League, because that's where the managers were.
The candidates had, the delegates had gone missing.
Yes, the delegates were, whatever, but through consensus has been resolved.
Yeah.
The youth election, I think they had the last sitting today, because once we had elected and declared the winner, unfortunately being my son, the advice was, if you have a petition, take it to the tribunal. They had sittings, I think yesterday and today, and they are now waiting for the ruling. Whatever is ruled is what we shall go by. Now, there are other elections of the youth, and the youth are watching, which must be done. Youth members of parliament.
Okay.
The 555. I think next week I'll issue a guideline and issue the days, and we vote.
Professor, let's raise this debate to the national level.
Yeah.
And one thing, Timothy, I forgot.
Yes.
Your things will not end.
People think Ugandans are stupid. That Ugandans will do the same thing, the Ssemujus are saying, they are going to do the same thing in election. No, you members of the opposition always cause confusion at national level.
So we are the ones in Kololo.
No, Kololo was ours. But don't blame any chaos that because NRM had chaos, you will have. No. It doesn't work like that. You yourselves have chaos.
Okay.
So we are the ones in Kololo causing chaos.
Professor, let's raise this conversation to the national general elections that are coming.
Okay.
The NDP4 has a 10-year plan to get us to 500 billion. But when you look at this ambition,
The performance of
500 billion.
The performance
dollars.
of NDP3 was 16 to 18%.
And with what the Honorable Ssemuju said,
According to whose evaluation?
when
National Planning Authority.
when you look at the
16%.
ambition of the
18%.
country that
Yes.
is given,
Higher.
that we are looking at
I'm not the one who did the
ATMs.
evaluation.
We're looking at ATMs, agriculture, technology,
Yes.
all those. And then we look at the political bureaucracy and the red tape. Where is the missing link? Because at the end of the day, a Ugandan is the grass of these elephants.
Wow. Thank you very much. So you are talking about the NDP, which is very technical,
Yes.
and the politicians who are actually supposed to be legislative, and in between there is an executive, which is supposed to deliver on the policy directions that Parliament gives, of course supported with the appropriation of funding
True.
by Parliament. And I think the technical lines are still taking place. I know politicians over time have usurped some executive functions, but I think this has largely been because of the limited reach of our executive functions. Many of the rural areas don't have enough leaders at the districts to go and do, for example, all the extension that has to be done, all the road construction that has to be done, and everything. So over time, you find politicians stepping in to provide, depending on how well resourced that politician is. I know in Kenya they do what they call the Constituency Development Fund. I think in Uganda did try it sometime, but in Kenya it's very standard that as a senator, you're given this money and you go and implement whatever development project you have to be. Yet in real terms, that should also not have been necessary. That money should have been put in the executive to go and do that kind of thing.
That's the
So,
performance of your government.
yeah, so now you find and also because politicians promise us that during the elections, they promise us they're going to bring bridges, they're going to bring roads, they're going to bring health facilities. So, and we said Ugandans are not dummies. They remember. So if you promise this, where are you at this level of provisioning? So I think the NDP4 is well-intentioned. It has very good strategies, but these have to be developed or implemented by the technical wing of government, or the technical arm of government. So I think we should be a little bit fair when we are blaming politicians for some of these things not translating, because ideally it shouldn't be their work. And that's why a politician like an MP, even if it's just a road councillor or whatever at the lower level, they go in and the only thing they are sure of is their salary.
Then we
Because they are paid for participating in making laws. And so if you have access to more resources, like maybe if you're a minister, then you can use those other resources. And also, of course, if you're in second, you have strategic linkages, you can bring development to your area. But if you don't, you'll just become an MP and people think you're non-performing. So that is one thing. But the other thing which we shouldn't forget, even when we say the youth election did not occur, we are a very young population. And this young population is largely constituted by younger people. And what we are seeing as diversity, even democracy within the NRM, is because the youth are restless. The youth want to see things happening, but the things are not happening as fast as they want to see them. So they are going to be in these structures, and where the structures don't meet their interests, they will actually try to expand them or to explode them. And that's why he mentioned about many university elections normally go with police. Wherever we have a guild election in a university, the first thing you deploy is the police, because you expect that there will be violence. Many times there's no violence, but many times there's also violence. So the youth are restless. The youth are many. The youth, as he says, maybe need money before they can do anything, but also because they are coming from spaces where they don't have many opportunities. So such processes are the processes that give them access to money. So for me, when I look at that demographic, I see it more as a dividend, because they aspire to higher standards. They are not just idealists. They think they deserve better, and they are deserving better within the NRM. So I think from these kinds of motions we are seeing, the party might actually improve. If we are to talk about rebuilding, they are going to demand more. That's why there's a whole petition on the chairperson of the NRM EC, well written, because they think he should have recused himself. He did not. They are demanding for what better system. They are demanding for what better system.
I just didn't resign, but I did.
They are asking what better system are you leaving behind when you leave. So there are all these processes, and by the all those processes have youth. The winner and the loser, they are all youth. So they are having a contest. The fight was amongst youth, younger people. So younger people deserve better. They are well connected, they are globally connected, and they wonder why things do not work. So going back to the ATMs and politicians, I don't see it as a problem. Politicians lead people, and when they lead people, they tell the message they give to the people is one of things being better, okay? But they should, how I wish there is a process where the politicians would know that it's not their duty to deliver the resources, but push the executive to do more. But for that, we will need actually an expanded executive.
Think that way.
Yeah, we shall need an expanded executive that has a far reach, and that's a long way. So in the interim, what we have are politicians.
And my last question before I come to the Honorable Minister. An ultimatum has been given by a faction of Muslims in Kawempe, and this is a very sensitive question.
Okay.
Dr. Tanga Odoi hinted on SEC having a certain region, but also these particular group of Muslims have said we're giving the National Unity Platform 7 days to be able to change a few things so that we are also represented. When did we sink to ethnicity?
Identity now. That's it.
And how do we come out of this? Because this could be 1994, what happened in Rwanda.
Yeah, you see,
Uganda cannot reach that extent.
We may not, maybe because of our ethnic diversity, we may not reach there. We don't have a population which is more than 10% in this country. I think everybody is a minority. Every group is a minority, although some minorities are a little bit bigger. Now, I think what you are seeing in NUP could have been in the NRM, but the NRM had the capacity to organize an election, however problematic, where people stood behind and decided. I am not a member of NUP, but what I hear from NUP is there's disgruntlement on how the delegates were decided. First of all, they didn't have what you saw nationally with the NRM primaries, that every village sent somebody to that level to be a flag bearer. What we had from NUP is that the party decided and sent people to areas. So people just had to appeal to the headquarters, and the headquarters then, since I'm not a member, I don't know, but some got in and some didn't get in. So this is likely to create a problem because such processes which are not transparent will be easily debated. It will be the same if the Dr. Tanga Odoi suggestion goes through, whereby not everyone comes to Kololo Nambole, whereby SEC decides who comes. People are going to ask, what criteria did you use? Even if you are the most well-intentioned person on earth, people are going to debate that. So you can now see SEC, I don't know whether the NRM SEC has a Muslim, but no one has raised that matter because everyone presented themselves. Those who wanted to present, and they got in or they didn't get in. And if you didn't get in, people are in the tribunal.
Jabasa Jabala is a Muslim.
Okay, yeah, but he came in later. He's not in your first picture. But now you see for
SEC, the chairman has also a constitutional prerogative of nominating five eminent persons.
Okay.
And he's usually very cautious to balance the different
to balance, but you see that is written down.
Huda Oleru
came
last time, and she's a female from Western Nile, a Muslim also.
It is written and it is known, okay? But I am not very conversant with the NUP things, but the complaints we had, and that's why there's a reported rift within NUP, is that people are not happy with how the leaders decided who the flag bearers are, who are then being sent to the areas. So it's like there's no facilitation to do primaries the way you had them at national level for NRM, but as the secretariat, we decide who should be your councillor for Makerere, who should be your councillor for Makindye, who should be. But the people of Makindye who are NUP aligned have not participated in saying who should be our councillor. So that is going to be a contested matter. And since it's the secretariat that did it, it is only fair that those who feel left out should make that demand to the secretariat. So it's not an issue of heading towards Rwanda being ethnic. It's like saying, can you appreciate the diversity with which we come into your party? Yeah.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, fortunately,
we are two ministers here.
Which
I am Shadow Minister for Finance. So which one do you are you referring for?
I would have said Honorable Shadow Minister, but now
A minister with a small M.
It's small M.
Yes.
Honorable Minister, when you look
Am I not better than some of your fake ministers?
when you look at especially what happened within your National Delegates Conference, but we bring it on the national scene, the general elections that are coming, the messaging, the languaging, you are in charge of the docket of national guidance.
Yes.
How do you message to quell whatever emotions, steaming, whatever languaging is coming from the aspirants
They will
and,
ban social
and the
media.
candidates before we ban our country?
Yes, we draw lessons from what has been going on, both from the primaries for the NRM, where flag bearers were declared, then they are discontented candidates. Some of them went to the tribunal. The tribunal has announced the verdicts.
7 of them.
And we did recommend actually in the SEC before we left that the party should constitute teams of senior NRM leaders to go to the countryside in the districts and reconcile
But the
members.
senior leaders like Kadaga have also lost, so she needs to be reconciled.
Yeah, she cannot. Yeah, even her, she needs to be
reconciled.
So
cancelled
you're
and
going to send
reconciled.
a, you're
Yes.
going to send a
She's not the only
figure.
senior leader. There are other senior leaders. And
Figure to
not
reconcile
interrupt me.
Kadaga.
So there is a need. Luckily enough, the Independent Electoral Commission has extended the days for nominations for members of parliament to mid-October.
Yes.
So there is some time. September and the half of October, the party should utilize that space to constitute teams that can travel to the districts, highlighting even where the hotspots are, to reconcile the members. Because when you listen to many of those who participated in the primaries, many of them are saying, we are coming back as independents, we are coming back. So there is a need for some work to be done to harmonize and reconcile members.
Who reconciles the country?
I've said it's senior leaders in
Political
the party.
bishops.
The party has many
And not
leaders.
the NRM, the country, because already these parties are tearing people against each other.
Oh, you mean, okay.
You were in charge of national guidance.
Yes.
How do you reconcile the country?
Is more concerned with NRM.
No.
But many of the
Okay.
losers, like in the NRM,
I
considered
initially-
defeat and have pledged to work with
But
the
we have
winners.
60 that have left NUP and moved elsewhere.
Or maybe NUP.
We also have others that have left.
So I initially had dealt on
now as a
NRM.
member, a
But
minister now.
for the political players in the country, we have different platforms. For instance, we have the National Consultative Forum, which is a platform that brings together all registered parties.
Honorable
We
Minister,
have a
that is
platform.
very elitist. My grandmother, how is she going to listen to the National Consultative Forum?
No, I'm saying there are platforms which bring together political parties. We have iPod, and you can say that is the one area where we can get teams
iPod
that
is
can
like
speak to
for
Ugandans.
money.
Speak to, unless if you have faith, no faith. It's a constitutional body established that brings together all political
And
parties.
you-
And I'm saying,
We are missing it.
if we are to give a message to political players and stakeholders, we need platforms like those to come in. We have iPod, for instance, which brings together parties which have representation in parliament. Only that some of the parties have not been as active and don't have faith in some of those platforms. But you see, we need to look at the country being bigger than these individual parties or individual political players. So if we have faith and trust in some of these institutions, so they can play a big role in reconciling different parties, whether NRM, whether NUP, or these emerging parties. Like if there's an issue in NUP, we are not happy as NRM that NUP is disintegrating because of the methodology they are using to get flag bearers. So those platforms, where like in the National Consultative Forum, NRM takes the leadership, the leader, they can take charge of reconciling parties and different stakeholders at that level. So it is not lost. It is not lost, but we definitely must listen to what the people are saying. Like if we are saying the method used by NUP has resulted into those cracks, then they should be fixed before the party disintegrates and crumbles completely. And regarding NRM, with respect to what happened in Kororo, I think there was a storm, but a storm in a teacup. I wouldn't want to think that what happened in Kororo has significantly fractured NRM. It has not. It has not.
Has it significantly fractured the country?
No. If NRM is not fractured, then the country is not fractured.
Okay.
Yes.
Honorable
So those mishaps, like I said, we learn from them, and their propositions we are making, the kind of reforms which the party needs to look at as we go forward. So the difference between what happened in Kororo and the next gen elections, like I said, first of all, Kororo, the main issue was huge numbers assembled in one place, voting in a short period because you are lining up. There is a world of difference between what happened in Kororo and what will happen now in the general elections. In the general elections, we have polling stations which are constituted of a few villages together. Voting is from 7 to 4 p.m. It is a secret ballot. The exercise is even more resourced in terms of financial resources, in terms of human resource.
Okay.
So it's managed better. So I don't think the confusion we had in our internal party elections will be exported to the Awakama elections. And maybe for your information, we are also now going to use the mandatory biometric voter verification in the
which
next
you
elections.
have not sensitized the general public.
I am now sensitizing you. I'm now sensitizing
I am not the general public.
No, what that means is that currently the law says the Electoral Commission may use biometric technology to verify the voters. And we are changing the law to say the Electoral Commission shall use. So we are making it mandatory. So that when a voter presents himself or herself at the polling station, he will have to be verified using the technology.
Okay.
Either by
But how long will that take
thumbprint.
to do data capture first? Because you
We've
have
done
to
all those simulations,
okay.
and it should work. It should be able to
I
work. So they either use the thumbprint or facial recognition. We're making all those arrangements. But we shall ask you for airtime on UBC to educate the masses about that.
Honorable Ssemuju, I saw
So
you
I
say-
don't expect
18
any
million.
big problem simply because parties have had challenges in their internal process, that these challenges will be exported to the general election. No.
And we'll discuss that because we had a discussion on that sometime, electronic voting,
Yeah.
where we discussed the time it takes. But Honorable Ssemuju, you were
We
shaking
tested
your-
it in the cabinet,
No,
and it was taking around
am-
even less than a minute.
No, it was 2 minutes. It was 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
We're in the cabinet.
No, hasn't in cabinet. I have done research on
But
it.
now the data capture has to be for the 18 million voters
Honorable
first. So
Ssemuju,
yes.
you were shaking
18
your
million.
head when you were listening to Honorable Chris
24
speaking
million.
there. How do you see Kololo play out in the general elections? And you have been a player and a journalist.
I am happy.
What are your
that,
concerns?
I am happy that the managers of the chaotic Kololo elections, who were voting in darkness, lining up and failing each face and everybody to participate in the exercise, they are now insisting and insistent on biometric voter identification. I am very happy. They know this is a better process. But what bothers me, the point you asked Chris Wayomus, the reason I was shaking my head, he says when NRM is okay, the country is okay. This afternoon I asked Parliament, because I was looking for a minister to come and tell us. I was in Mitiana last week as a chief of staff and a brand manager of PFF to open an office for my party, train leaders, swear in leaders for the Buganda sub-region, and the police said you can't have that function in open space. Theirs are in Kololo. They sent us 3 kilometers from town to a Catholic church hall. And I said, let's go and have it, even if it is 10 kilometers. We had another function of opening the office. That's why we had gotten that open space near the office. Then after the function, we said, let's go back and now open the office and return to Kampala. He said, you are in a procession, tear gas. Why are you in a procession? I said, but you see, the function of opening an office is going to take place when all of us are there. He said, no, you are in a procession. But you are the ones who have walked us 3 kilometers from town. This afternoon, I told the Honorable David Moores, Minister of State for Internal Affairs, at the function in Weyogere, as an MP to meet people on their request. He said, why are you putting tents here? It is a rally. They took the tents and the chairs. So I asked David Moores, he said, let me call the director of operations. He said, where I was putting the function is near a police. I said, what a better place.
There's no other better place than
tell you that
security.
There is absolutely no problem. We even brought it near where you are. Said, why are you bringing it near police? So they stopped the function. Now I had to find transport, take people to my office in Chirinya. So the issue I raised in Parliament was the shrinking civic space. And I told them my leader, Dr. Besige, founder and senior member who brought this government to power, and Museveni, is in prison 8 months. We were processing candidates. Sam Mugumia, who is supposed to be candidate in the Kunjiri municipality, was abducted. Up to now, today, we presented an application to court asking government to produce him.
Either dead or alive.
Yes, and these are not the only people who are abducted. So the environment under which we do politics. And you can see the security institutions, the NRM has conditioned them and the worker under very difficult conditions to allow you to do any work. They are pleading with you not to do any political work. Because nominations for local governments have started today with districts. They are going to end on Friday. And then you go for municipalities and I think sub-counties starting the other way. If you can't allow a secretary general of a political party to have a smaller function in Weyogere, and I am required to present nearly more than 500,000 candidates for councillors, and then you tell me for you, a mass party, when you are in Kororo, they have made the Kororo very dirty. I don't know who is responsible now for cleaning
Dr. Tanga Odoi.
They were in Nakawa, they are everywhere. For them, they can do their work, they can do mobilization, they can do recruitment, recruit everybody, including, interestingly, the first register of Tanga Odoi, Chris Williams was not there. They had forgotten him. He had to be fixed in.
There are 24 million voters, national of the NRM.
Yeah, because in NRM everybody is a voter.
Okay.
So that worries me. And
I'm a member of Gwebare village in the Kayunga sub-county.
The issue you asked the Honorable Chris Williams, and with people like Tanga Odoi, who are part of the managers, please, when you are there, be kind to the country. You cannot accuse us of being small. When we are stretching our legs, you are hitting us. I am a new party.
Small.
Yes, I am a new party. I want to reach every corner of the country. I have told you I visited Chisoro personally, home of a person who has worked at home for the last 20 years. Police came, 2 patrols. Ssemuju, why are you here? Why didn't you notify the authority that you are visiting?
A big person.
In Chisoro. I called, notify police that I am visiting a friend in Chisoro. So I had to call police headquarters to have, because the time they came I was preparing, I was cooking a pilau. So they even found me in a plantation where we said, why are you here? The OC, then you called reinforcement. So there are areas where you can't even go. How do you expect me to raise candidates in Chisoro?
Okay.
So really,
we always host the opposition people there.
I have told you I was shocked. It was my first time around Unagana.
You must have provoked
gone to the border.
In a banana plantation cooking pilau. Maybe I was provoking.
Where were you cooking in a banana plantation?
I was provoking the banana.
Where were you cooking in a banana plantation?
Okay, please
let me answer.
Lastly,
Let me answer. He has asked me a question.
Yeah.
If we read the population and housing census report, people who are cooking from open space in Uganda are 20%. In Karamoja, it is 60%.
But they don't,
So you're part of that.
but they don't include you.
The person I was visiting doesn't have a Kiyungu, so I was.
So why don't you pay him well?
Okay.
He said he's your worker. Your worker.
Doctor, what are your
No, that
learnings?
was his home.
What are your learnings from your process, and how can we improve it? Come 2031.
It's a learning process. We had few
For
areas.
40 years, you are still running.
We had few areas. That's why even a woman of 6 births, the 7th, you actually have to be tutored.
No, because you are supposed to have stopped.
You have to.
So you NRM, you are supposed
So I
to.
think
you
it's a learning
you can't run.
experience. It's a learning experience. What we failed on, we should actually go and revisit and do better.
Each NRM election
What?
is worse than the previous.
No, I think every election betters. We are improving. We are improving. We are better off. The only thing is that COVID did not allow us to experiment then with mass election. Now, everyone was eager to come, and they came. Next time, better. I think next time we should decentralize a bit of this election and have it in different places.
After there's going to be biometric.
Yeah, even the trickle-down effect should go to other areas as well. Because if hotels are booked, let hotels be booked elsewhere.
That case, let's bring it to our places.
Professor Sarah, as a country, with the learnings from all this in other political players, how does an individual, a family, prepare themselves so that we do not have any mishap, any violence? How do we secure our own country?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think in this country there are people who are mandated with providing security, and that is the police. And beyond the security apparatus like the police, I mean, there are basic things you do at a household level to ensure there are locks, there is shelter, there are so many things. I think other than that, it's to be good law-abiding citizens. For example, we've seen many people who are advocating for not using hateful speech, not being so abusive, because this process is a very short process. Thereafter, you're going to continue coexisting in the village. The people in charge of national guidance, I think we will have to continue advocating for peace and coexistence. There's supposed to be something called civic education. I don't know how far and what the program for civic education is going to be. So what I'm trying to say that as individuals, you can do this much or this little. Beyond that, there are mandated offices in the country that provide civic education, that can provide security, that can actually amplify the different efforts of the people. But on a personal level, people have to learn to coexist. They have to learn to be more tolerant. They have to learn to disagree, but not disagree violently, because at the end of the election, after the election is over, you're going to continue coexisting in that village. And I think Ugandans, we have tried to do that very well. That's why in many communities, people can actually, they could take your money if you give it to them and they will not vote for you, but they will not tell you are not going to vote for you. Because I think Ugandans as a people are very careful about not offending others, because they really understand the need to coexist after these processes. So until maybe people, but even then I've also not seen leaders inciting people to the extent that people lose themselves and follow the leaders and forget their neighbors, even when they're on different political platforms. So I think I am confident that the elections will go well. I'm also happy that we are picking lessons from what has happened in all different political processes. You remember there's a time when we never checked voters' register. After 1996, people started checking voters' register. So every election brings on board lessons that we evaluate. I mean, human society, we are dynamic. There is no constant in human society. People learn, and there are new behaviors that come, there are old behaviors that have to go. And with each process, there are new learnings.
Induction.
Yeah, so, and people learn and we improve. So if we are to go biometric, I think that is a good strategy. But how I wish it would go nationally, the only thing is it's going to be very expensive. I've been in entities where biometrics work, but it's quite an expensive process.
Slow? Okay.
And so if there is no power on that day, there will be no biometric captured. So
let me read some feedback that has come through. This is Captain Mike Mukula sends a message and says, the Communist Party of China holds its National Congress, sometimes which is called the Delegates Conference, once every 5 years. At most, the most recent, the 20th Congress had It brought together 2,296 delegates who represented the party's membership of 96 million. These delegates came across China provinces,
2,000.
And the municipalities, the army forces, various industries. The next 21st National Conference is expected in 2027, and we expect 2,296 delegates, okay? Thank you for the show. Please extend my regards to the gentleman and lady. My question goes to Honorable Chris. Do they think, and Dr. Tanga, do they think that in the future the NRM processes will be credible?
No.
And do they think that a former senior lecturer is a highly valued intellectual to make mistakes of counting to favor the candidates that they alleged? Why wouldn't you blame Dr. Tanga Odoi for the mess at Kololo, since he was overall presiding officer? My other question, why did you announce the candidate who withdrew, yet he was still evidently on? Evaristo from Kawempe, okay?
Who is that candidate?
I think the candidate they mean is, let me see the name, Pascal Nantamba.
At what level?
At the National League, National Youth League.
Nantamba Pascal had issues in court.
Dr. Tanga Odoi and Bariomusi should not cry about the excesses of money in elections. They are the ones who condone it, and those are some of the gains of the NRM that it is protecting.
Their symbol is money and gun.
From Busia. Okay, finally, final comment here. Okay, this one is asking about something that is not there. Those are the comments. We'll leave it at that, and we'll end it with this. Dr. Sarah, thank you for coming. I mean, Professor.
Yes.
Dr. Tanga Odoi, thank you. Honorable Ssemuju, Honorable Minister.
We're not answering.
Which one?
Who told you that you're going to answer?
You was asking whether we think another process will be credible in the future, and the answer is yes.
And
we have to amend the constitution and straighten.
We'll end with this quote. Goals are for people who care about winning once. Systems are for people who care about winning repeatedly. Good morning.
So we adopt systems.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Abandikiriza yinde mirembeda katonda divenimwe. Museveni oye. Museveni ju. Minister nze chendi dio bisawo. Honorable Kelement Yakobotu wamba abantu batya. Batanu era ku general kasatu bulanga. Kelement aliwa. Kelement aliwa. Kelement dawano. Kelement huyu. Kelement dawano. Kelement dawano. Watu wambanze maka tu violence. Linda kumulinda. Kelement linda ku. Kelement gebon. Mulirize.